see. Uh, First of all, what up, though? Let me go to my slogan slash catchphrase. Just do it down. Turn that question mark to an explanation point and make something happen before something happen to you. Uh, so yeah, today, um, it's not necessarily a sad video. I mean, it kinda is, cause you know, what really be the main sad thing about passing is the people you leave behind and shit. And you know, it's a loss, you know, at least in the physical and shit. And you know, with some people, that's kind of all you feel. You really just feel shit that's going on physically. Like a lot of motherfuckers ain't really fasted. A lot of motherfuckers ain't just like did breathing exercises. You know, shit like that. Like I ain't really even gonna go into that shit, cause you know we can get on that shit, cause you can talk about what's wrong and shit all day every fucking day. But you know me, like my company and shit is DCS, and basically all I mean is dominant comfort solutions. So I just try to come up with solutions and shit, and not just solutions like comfortable solutions. So what that mean is, it's kind of like the path of least resistance, but at the same time, you getting through that motherfucker. It's a path and shit to what's good and shit. So you know, that's how I kind of look at it and shit. I came up with the company because I create products that's comfortable for people, you know. First for me, cause you know that's where everything come from. But it's for the world type shit. Like what's good for me is great for y'all type shit, you know. And I ain't even trying to be on that tip for real, like I'm greater than. But um, I kind of been feeling like I've acquired some spiritual evolution. I acquired spiritual evolution, and I believe like that's like kind of like the shit that I did acquire it in the beginning. Like that's some shit like base level type shit that everybody in the world should be on. So another one of my slogans. Wait, I'm gonna pull this shit up on my phone real quick. I'm gonna fuck my phone up. But here go the notes. Excuse me. Nope, that ain't it. Okay, so it's dual like dominant. So, you know, just based off what I was saying and shit about the knowledge I acquired being kind of base level shit spiritually. My campaign is do it like dominant. So it's do it do it like dominantly, cause my name dominant is based off the word dominant. So that's it. Ain't even gotta get too deep in it. But so do it like dominant dominantly, or do it like dominant with dominance and shit. And, you know, That's just the slogan I came up with, and you know, I mean, I ain't trying to put it off like I'm the shit, but you know, I'm something for real, for real. I ain't gonna lie, like I always felt like I was destined to be great and shit, and you know, um, where I got lost. So this all gonna kind of tie into what the whole video is about, but what I got lost at is I would say I had anxiety, but my anxiety only stemmed from me being conscious of other people's thoughts and feelings and shit. So I internalized a lot of shit, and a lot of shit ain't got nothing to do with me. Like, for real. Like, with somebody going through, like, with me, I was kind of sensitive and shit. So if somebody would express something to me, or like, uh, what's the fucking word? Mm, project onto me, I would take that shit personal. Like this is coming from our interaction and our experience, so I'm gonna deal with it that way. But a lot of times, like that's not what it is. Like motherfuckers, like we all human and shit at the end of the day. So we be going through shit for real though, that don't nobody really know about, don't nobody really give a fuck about, but you. So I kind of understand how people can be selfish and shit, and it's like really, that's the way to be. And you know, how I was thinking before, I just thought being selfish was some whole ass shit, for real. But not really. It depends on your background and shit. Like if you was motherfucking like Kodak said, if you a silver spoon and I'm a rusty fork, like nigga, you was giving shit. I had to get it out the mud type shit. So that's two totally different like psychologies and shit. And like some people don't understand because they always refer back to themselves like when they dealing with somebody, like they don't look at it totally objective and shit, like they don't take a bird's eye view and shit. And you know, I kind of prided myself on that, taking a bird's eye view with you know, with just other people's situations, and you know, situations period and shit. And that's great, but the thing is, like, you can't get lost in that shit, like, cause at the end of the day, what somebody else got going on, like, that's what they got going on. Unless you really involved in it, it ain't got shit to do with you. Like, it's like the shit, nigga, ain't shit else to talk about. That's what it is, for real, for real. And you know, like, just a kind of a tribute video, because this morning and shit, I woke up and I seen some shit that said Brother Panic passed away or crossed over. And you know, like, if you ever watch Brother Panic videos and shit, like, he gonna make you laugh like a motherfucker and shit. But at the same time, he gonna he gonna explain it in a way for you to understand it and shit. Like, if you fucking stupid, he gonna stupid that shit down, like, to where stupid motherfucker can understand it. But like, not shitting on like how he was talking and shit. But you know, I come from the hood and shit, and you know, like, I ain't really into all that scholastic shit and shit like that. Like motherfucking, at the end of the day, like, I don't necessarily consider myself a hood nigga, cause I'm just from the hood. But like, but it's the same shit. Like, you of the earth. I mean, what is it? What is it? What is it? What's the saying? This shit, like, motherfucking be of the earth but not a part of it. I'm gonna just say it like that. It's like, yeah, like I'm physically hearing shit, but what's animating this body is something spiritual and shit, and it's like a projection and shit. I'm motherfucking projecting into this physical entity, this meat suit and shit, my skin and shit. Like, you know, sometimes I kind of look into my looks and shit, and I feel like that's something like, it is, but at the same time, like everybody ain't got everything and shit. Like, so you know, kind of take that shit with a grain of sand. But so yeah, this was basically a video talking about how a brother at Panic inspired me and shit, and me, um, a part of who I am is to be inspiring and shit, and I came up with a word called excellence, and all excellence mean is the act of inspiring and shit. So you know, like I say all the time, like I feel as though I could be inspiring through my creativity. And brother Panic was inspiring from like teaching and shit. Like, you know, like at the end of the day, that's what he was doing. He was teaching niggas, like, 'cause he ain't have to do shit. He was doing for real. Like, once he figured out that a certain, you know, um, wave, like, you can just ride that bitch. It's like, I've been trying to figure that out. But I guess it'll come when it come and shit. Um, yeah, so inspiration and shit. Inspiring, man. I started listening to Brother Panic and shit probably 2016, 2017. And before then, like, like around that time, that's when I actually start to really get spiritually involved and shit. And I would just say all that mean is like meditating and fasting and just really like secluding myself in darkness. Like, nigga, I ain't gonna lie, like when my grandma was alive, blessed dead and shit, I stayed in a fucking closet. I stayed in the closet for like a couple days. I won't say a few. It maybe was 3. But I stayed in the closet for some days and shit, and I just basically stayed in pure darkness. And it got to the point to where I lost, like, even though I was laying on the floor and shit, my back was on a solid surface. It's like I became numb to that, and I experienced like zero gravity, and it was like I kind of lost direction and shit. And so I'm laying in the closet one way, but when I met when I meditate when I meditate I can motherfucking I feel like I'm just floating and I'm turning and shit. So it was real crazy. I want to say I got that idea from Brother Panic because I was also consuming other occult information. But the reason why Brother Panic was so important and inspirational to me is because it seemed like it was kind of me but older and shit. And I only say that because, well, I say that because of a couple reasons. I say that because the way he talk and shit, he don't give a fuck, nigga. He a motherfucker cut a nigga ass up and shit, snap, whatever. Like, he had the passion for this shit, for sure, for sure. And, I ain't gonna lie, this nigga said something one day and shit. He was like, he got something with his pillow and his shit, and he he just be like, he be, I guess like I don't know what it was exactly and shit, but he said something with his pillow, and I was like, man, get the fuck out of here, like nigga, I'm the same way with my motherfucking pillow, nigga, like nigga, I be needing that bitch to go to sleep sometime, like not really, but it's better if I got it, but But yeah, man, brother Panic, man, that nigga kept that shit a thou wow, kept that shit all the way 1,000 and shit, and you know, he was a master teacher, like to say the least, like he had a family and all that shit, like, and he managed to juggle all that shit, like think of it, like you that in tune with the spiritual realm. But then you also gotta be just as involved in the physical and shit. Like that shit hard. Like some motherfuckers get lost in that shit. But nigga, like you a true motherfucking magician if you know how to manage both ends of both extremes of the spectrum and shit. As above, so below. As within, so without and shit. And you know he talked a lot about those principles and shit, the laws of the universe. So you know. Um, like I said, man, this is a tribute video to Brother Panic. Um, I had wrote some notes down in my phone and shit. So this one says, so you know, one thing, brother. Like I said earlier and shit, you know, he gave you methods. He gave you methods and shit, but he gave you methods based on the level you was on and shit. Cause at the end of the day, you know, he always reiterated the same shit over and over again. Like, if you ain't gonna hear nothing this nigga saying, it's like, nigga, at the end of the day, it's all up to you and how you spiritually feeling and shit. Cause it's like the book The Alchemist and shit. Like this nigga was a motherfucking shepherd posted up, not doing shit. And eventually he went on an adventure because he had a dream. But then through this adventure, he had a whole lot of little hiccups and shit, we should say. He had some hiccups. And eventually, like, you know, The Alchemist basically is based off the metaphysics of alchemy, which is turning lead to gold, turning a fucked up situation to something good, basically. Um, and yeah, he went through some shit, and he eventually came back to where he started. And the shit he dreamt about was there, and it was a treasure. He dreamt about treasure and shit, and the treasure was where he was at the whole fucking time, but he just went away, had to go through some shit to actually discover this and shit. And it's like, you know, that's kind of what it is spiritually and shit. Like, you gotta go through some shit just to recognize, nigga. Like, you ain't even have to do all that. Like, that shit funny, dog. Like, life is fucking crazy, dog. Like, for example, let me use myself. I got a friend, and you know, I I could say I kind of made it. Uh, I can, yeah, I made it awkward and shit, basically, because I Mm, I don't know. It's just anxiety. I was unsure. I was unsure, man. And all that unsure shit. Like another thing about the alchemist and shit. Like he met the king and shit, and he got them two stones, the white and black stones. Like you gotta make a decision, bro. Like go with your first mind too, for real, for real. Like I don't give a fuck, man. Like at least, at least me, for me personally, my first mind always been right and shit. And that's just intuition. That's coming from straight above and shit. Like so, um, you know, uh, it's like it's nothing to it for real, for real. Cause like I say, the answers is there all along. But if you gotta make a decision, don't waste too much time on it and shit. Cause time is an illusion also. So if you get to that stage where you can like be on some Doctor Strange shit and you can analyze every motherfucking situation and shit in a second, then hell yeah, do that shit. But if you gotta go and you can't decide, nigga, pick one or two, and your first mind is usually the one that was right. And if it didn't work out how you wanted it to, nigga, it was still right because it wasn't supposed to work out like that in the first fucking place. So yeah, 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 yeah. Another motherfucking thing about Brother Panic. Um, so I was watching one of his videos earlier, his last live stream, and he said it's harder to break out of mind control and easier to buy into new symbols. He said, so, in parentheses, as an agent provocateur or someone who says fuck it, it's basically like, nigga, if you an agent provocateur or if you say fuck it, it's easy to buy into new symbols and shit because it's like based on um based on shit that reality is showing you. You just said fuck it, so you just gonna go along with the fuck they showing you. Or if you an agent and shit, you see how the game work and you gonna motherfucking manipulate that shit to, you know, I guess get some type of benefit out of it. Like how motherfuckers doing with the relationship shit. It's like, nigga, it's some good bitches out there, and bitch, it's some good niggas out there. Like, so stop playing. Like, you feeding into this shit, and it's like this shit ain't doing nothing for you. So the rest of what he said, it was the masses just want to feel good, but not transcend. And that's 100% facts. Like, if they just keep you feeling good and shit, like how shout out to Ken Brisbane and shit. He talk about the permanent underclass. That's who I heard it from. And he just say like, if they keep you comfortable and shit, you're not really gonna strive to do better. Like, you're not gonna really want much out of life and shit. You just gonna be like them niggas on Wally, fat motherfuckers in the roll around beach chairs and shit, just ordering shit all day. How niggas do on Amazon and shit. So it's like, that's where the world going for real, man. And it's like, nigga, if you gonna be one of them, then you ain't gonna be shit. Like, it wasn't until them niggas stood up till they made some shit happen. And, I just came with that off the zone, but that's how shit be and shit. But yeah, like motherfucking don't really seek to be too comfortable. Like, seek comfortability, but seek true comfortability, because Fat motherfuckers be uncomfortable, nigga. I know when I got a gut, nigga, I be like, dog, this shit. Nigga can't even sit up straight, nigga, cause that motherfucker folding. I ain't even gonna get on that. But that's how it is, for real, man. You fat nigga, you know it. You be tired quick as hell. Shit don't make no sense. So, another note I got in here is a lot of different parts make a whole, and do what works for you. So, um, on a on a molecular level, we started off from one cell, right? And that shit just split to all these other cells, and eventually some of those cells created a group, created like a body, or organism, and that ended up being a liver and lungs, fucking tongue, whatever. So all that shit kind of came from the same thing. So that note, a lot of different parts make a whole. It's like, life, it really ain't that simple, but it is though. Like, that's what's fucking crazy about this shit. But it's kind of like you gotta know about shit in order to activate it, type shit, if that makes sense and shit. Cause sometimes you get high off some shrooms or psychedelics and you tap into some shit, but it's like, nigga, you can't do that shit. Like, I forgot one of these rappers, like, T Grizzly, you can't do that shit without no Molly, nigga. Like, nigga, unless you can really do that shit without that shit, like, man, then you talking about something. But, spiritually and shit, it's a lot of different shit to that shit. Like, ain't shit wrong with the Bible, but ain't shit wrong with Satanism at the same time. Like, it shit sound crazy and shit, cause just based off what we was taught, but it's just two different ends of the spectrum. This is the law of I won't say gender, could be that one too, but the law of polarity basically, and it's just like two different extremes on the same motherfucking spectrum. So this is a line, nigga. And on this side of the line, nigga, is God. And on this side is the devil. But that shit on the same fucking line. Like, so it's like, you can't really dismiss one and fully delve into the other. Like, cause it's like, nigga, this shit a part of the same shit. Nigga, this shit, nigga, it wouldn't be no motherfucking God without the devil, or it wouldn't be no devil without God. Like, simple as that. Like, they gotta throw a little wrench in there for niggas to fuck up somehow. But you know, a true magician, as Panic would say, transcends all that shit. So all that shit don't matter at the end of the day. The fucking zodiac signs, nigga, Christianity, nigga, the Baphomet symbol, like, really all that shit don't matter if that shit ain't working for you. Like, if you ain't making shit happen with it, then ain't no use. So it's really simple as that and shit. For real, brother Panic man, this shit real simple and shit. And coming from where I come from and shit, it's like that shit was a saving grace. Like, don't get it fucked up. I probably do need some motherfucking therapy and shit, but still, like, I was going through some shit, man. I be going through shit, but I can always look back on this knowledge and shit, and I'll be like, God damn, like, why the fuck did I ever get off track? Like, nigga, this shit is 100% facts. Ain't no motherfucking hiding. But yeah, creative thinking can yield you results for what you are doing. So That was said by Brother Panic and shit too. So creative thinking can yield you results. This right here. Okay. This is a crown I made. So it's a snake and shit, and it's eating his own tail right there and shit. If you can't tell, and they got the spikes and shit all around it. Got the spikes and shit all around it, and it also got some horns on it. Yep, see, you see the mouth and shit. So, yeah, you know, this was basically like a channel and shit, this creation and shit. And basically, all this creation was meant to do was the snake eating his tail, that represents the Aurora Boreas, or however the fuck you pronounce it. And basically that mean like infinite and reincarnation and shit like that. Just infinity and shit, continuous. Say it like that. And the horns, it's not no motherfucking satanic symbol, like nigga, like I'm not into motherfucking human sacrifices and motherfuckers killing babies and all that crazy type shit. I ain't into that. I don't fuck with that. The horns symbolize strength. So you got the snake, and I got the spikes around that motherfucker, cause that's just like a symbolism of Godzilla and shit. And you know how much of a fucking dog Godzilla is, nigga. So yeah, all that in a bag of chips. Basically, is what this is and shit. So you know, I would say I was inspired by Brother Panic and shit because it's like I stopped fearing that devil shit. Like I ain't gonna lie, like I used to be fucking scared of the dark. I used to be scared of death. Like a motherfucker. I remember I seen Final Destination. I forgot which one. I was young as hell. This was a long time ago. And I was crying when I seen that shit, cause it kind of just like put it on the flow, like nigga, you gon' die and shit. Everybody gonna die and shit. And I was just hoping that shit would be in a real tragic type way or whatever. And I'm like, I hope I can live my life and shit. But you know, it's like, what's the point of living on this bitch if you gonna be fucking miserable and shit? I'd rather motherfucker live a good life and die young, for real, for real. And Brother Panic, he looked young when, you know, when he crossed over and shit. So, you know, man, I appreciate it, bro, because he put me hip to shit that wouldn't nobody else really be able to put me hip to. Like, I don't know no nigga from the hood talking about occult shit, for real. And he put that shit on the floor and made that shit seem like it ain't shit, for real, for real. And it really ain't shit, for real, for real. So it's like, man, motherfucking 100 respects, man. Condolences to his family and shit. Like, that's a great loss. It's a real great loss. But, you know, just based off the shit he talked about and shit, it's like, you can't even look like that. Like, that's like a great game and shit. Cause, you know, he say when you transition and shit, he was like, when you was on this earth, you can get that information and shit from that person. But now, since they gone, it's like that fucking information exists without time and it's everywhere without space. So, you know, you could just pull on that shit and get inspiration or whatever from it. And, you know, I appreciate Brother Panic. Um, one thing I one way I would like to like keep his energy and spirit alive is just being unapologetic unapologetically me, like expressing myself and shit. And like not even on no asshole type of manner, just how I say at the beginning of this video, do it like dominant and shit. Like this world ain't shit, man. Motherfucking people, a lot of motherfuckers ain't shit. Like a lot of motherfuckers piece of shit. At least a lot of motherfuckers I came across, and like they not completely pieces of shit, but niggas ain't shit, bitches ain't shit, whatever you wanna call it. That's why you gotta get you right and shit to really make a decision. You gotta be right within to really receive the blessings without. But you know, rest in peace, man. That shit was a big fucking shot. I did not expect to see something like that when I got up this morning and shit. But like I said, it ain't bad. You know, pick your side. Um, don't dick ride. Pick your side. Basically, shit. That's how I'm gonna leave it, man. Just do it down. Do it like dominant. Make something happen before something happen to you. And turn that question mark to an explanation point. Rest in peace, brother Panic. That's it.